Welcome to
House of Whimsical Tips.
I'm Esther.
I'm Mary.
And we're coming to you today from Tucson, Arizona.
And we're telling real stories of the fantastical.
All of our stories are true or told to us as true.
Occasionally we alter names to protect privacy.
And we do the same for some of the places.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about workplace weirdness. And we have a special guest, someone that I've known for a long time. And so, Miguel, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Well, and the cool thing is, and we're going to get Miguel back for another episode about paranormal investigation. And he'll be the first paranormal investigator we've ever had on the show. We've talked about paranormal investigations, but we've never really had the real deal. So I'm excited about that. And we used to work together at a university, and we worked at a small offshoot of it in a vintage, it was located in a vintage building kind of up the street from where we are right now.
Yes.
And that place was weird.
Very scary.
Yes.
First time I ever heard footsteps was at this place. Old wood floors, day or night, it didn't matter. Just felt like you're being watched or just kind of a weird energy there.
Yes.
It seemed like, was it, you know if it was ever a house?
It was a house. It was originally a private residence. And then, later, because it was a large house, it had been different things. And then, of course, had, classrooms and things when we worked there. And it's interesting you say feeling watched. I used to work kind of late into the evening, and so I'd pick my son up from school and bring him back to my office, and I'd be working on my things, and he'd be working on homework. And one day he said, "Mom, do you ever feel like people are watching you here?" I just got the shivers. And I said, "Yes, actually, I do feel that." And he said, "Because that's how I feel whenever I'm here." So
kids know.
Yep,
they do.
Yeah, sure.
Kids know.
They don't have that filter of cynicism that adults have.
True.
Right.
True.
I stayed there a couple times late for whatever reasons, rehearsing for, community theater and stuff like that. Or I don't even remember working with one of the instructors, and I just would hear footsteps. I'd say, hello, is anybody there? And then it'd stop, and then I'd hear these weird noises, and I just couldn't wait to leave.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's not my usual feeling, even in the buildings. I love the history and stuff, but the creepy quotient was very high there. I'd love to go there. It's an optical store now, right?
Yes, it is. I did go there on purpose. I got my last pair of glasses there just because I wanted to be in the building because I had all this nostalgia about it. So there are some things that look the same, but other things have been.
I'm just glad they're keeping an eye on the place.
Yeah.
So there were other people that worked there that also had experiences like this in that building, all four sense things.
Yeah.
Because I recall vaguely that meeting some of your coworkers, and many of them had this is just a creepy place.
Yeah. We did a short film about the weird, people acted weird in there who may not have been as weird outside of that setting, but they would act strangely while they were there. We had one of the faculty there was worried about bad energy in the building and people kind of arguing with each other. So she had someone come in and do cleansing, and then the next day another faculty member came in and was worried that there was she kept talking about burning in the eaves, that there were, I don't even know if we have eaves in Tucson, but she was sure that there was smoking. She called the fire department.
Oh.
It turned out it was,
Wow.
So much happened around there.
It was an otherworldly smell of something that transpired there. Yeah.
Right.
Somebody who smoked a pipe or cigars.
Exactly. A pipe smoking. definitely from the era, from that house. There was one night, it was just before rehearsal, and I was waiting for people to show up, and I was in the older part, because there was a part that was added onto and classroom set up towards the back, but I was in the front in the old part. It was all wood, like even the walls, everything was wood in there. It was really beautiful. Not like ugly wood paneling, but like wood. And so I was in there and I was setting up like snacks and things for people to show up. And we had a rule that when you come in, you announce that you're there and you lock the door behind you if it's nighttime, because people would meet with students. There'd be a little, intimate classes going on, because it was a one-on-one mentored study. So the faculty would meet with students. So you would call out, it's Esther, I'm here. And so I had done that. No one responded. So I thought, okay, I'm here alone and we're going to have rehearsal for one of my classes. So I locked up and started setting up, waiting for people to arrive. And all of a sudden I started hearing women's voices in the back of the building. And I thought, well, they mustn't have heard me. And it sounded like people having meaningful conversation, as though they were in a class setting. So I thought, I should let them know I'm here. So I was calling from the back, it's Esther, I'm here. And I, just alerting them, because people would get scared. It's kind of downtown area, and people get scared.
It's dark.
And there was, some things that happened, like cars stolen out of the parking lot in broad daylight, things of that sort. So wanted people to know. So I started walking toward where I was hearing the voices, and I stepped into the hallway where I heard it, and there was silence. And I thought, they got scared. So I more loudly said, it's Esther, and I was walking to the class where I'd heard it, opened the door. There's no one in the building but me. All the lights were off. The classroom where I heard it coming from, no one is in there, completely dark. And later someone told me that in that exact room, they had heard people in there at night and had gone in and no one was there.
I heard, you just triggered a memory for me. I thought somebody was in there too, because I couldn't hear somebody come in the front door.
Right.
And I don't even remember what I was doing there. I was in the back and I got scared, and that's what I was alluded to earlier. I left. I heard the voices, and I'm scared too easily. I scared easier then. But what a great place to work, though. What a great experience,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was amazing.
To work there with that, knowing what I know now. You didn't afraid at all. Just wanted to explore and engage and all that stuff. Wow.
Yeah, and just be there. There was that back room where all the electronics were, and there was one night I was there alone, and they just started going crazy. Lights were flashing, things were beeping. It was so bad that I called the people, the administrators, and I said, something's going on, because that's where, the IT stuff was too. And so I went back there, and sure enough, there were lights flashing, things going on. And
always stuff going on back there. I remember Lydia talking about it. And I might have even smudged that place. I might have with you.
I think so.
I think I walked through the whole thing. It's all coming back to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is a while ago. This is almost 20 years ago that this all happened.
Yeah.
And when they came the next day to look at it, they had an IT person come down from the main campus, because I was really alarmed. Nothing.
Wow.
And they didn't even understand what I was saying. And as people who pay attention to investigations, and you as an investigator know that, they pull from, electrical sources and that sort of thing.
That's very cool. Wow.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mary, how about you? You worked at some old buildings downtown.
Oh, downtown, yeah. There are so many old buildings downtown. And one of the buildings that I worked at that you were part of. It's the Old Gentlemen's Club. It was the Old Gentlemen's Club. So the founding family fathers of Tucson, where they would meet and greet and
And corrals.
And corrals. Yes, yes. It was remarkable.
The non-native sounding
yes,
people.
yes. Yeah.
Yes. And Mary, you didn't work in the gentleman's club. You're just saying.
No, it was the gentleman's club 100 years ago. A little more than 100 years ago.
And it was behavioral health. We were.
Yeah. And that building had a lot of stories. So sometimes, there were so many stories and so many people that had experience. Many of whom weren't people that you would expect to be sensitive to those experiences. But I remember I would stay late sometimes, past when everyone else had left. And the elevator would just go up and down on its own. And that was incredibly, incredibly creepy and freaky. And then you had some interesting experiences there.
I had feelings in the basement when I was getting equipment for my job and doing some outings where it was stored. Going in the basement was just very cautionary for me because it just felt like a weird, soiled energy, like I was being watched. It was just old and creepy and all kinds of hiding places and nooks and crannies. And that's the place I've never wanted to be. I loved that building had this fantastic grand staircase on the second floor. And then they had like these little nooks that went up nowhere on the second floor. And I heard people tell me I had a weird paranormal experience here. I was by myself and blah, blah, blah. Some of the other employees.
Wasn't that bizarre, like 3rd and a half floor?
Yeah.
Where
I never got up there.
Yeah, it wasn't a full floor. It was just the back of the building, and you went up 3 steps. And the whole back of the building was like this whole other section of the building that had a dumbwaiter and separate offices.
Oh, strange.
That was, I heard a story, I don't know if this connected, that they would bring, the men's club would entertain women.
Yes.
Of the ladies of the evening there, and they came up the back entrance and were snuck in the building, so none of their wives would get wind of.
Undoubtedly.
Yes, but being alone there, myself and my fellow colleague, we both had experiences with the water turning on by itself in the restroom, and footsteps, of course, and just neither one of us liked to be there by ourselves.
Right.
And we were never there at night. It was always during the day. But I didn't like being there.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the building across the street that you worked.
Which is also really creepy.
But I wasn't there enough.
No.
Right. So you didn't experience that.
Yeah.
And these were built in like the 1800s, these buildings?
Early 1900s. Early 1900s. And the building across the street was like the first, like the newspaper building or something. But next door to it, if you can sometimes find like these old photos, and there was actually a mortuary not far from there. It was like next door or just off behind a little bit.
So many old mortuaries and
yeah, I know. There's a lot downtown. So when they were renovating the building, there was like this slide where they would slide like bodies in from the street down to the basement, and then there was like a subfloor. And down there was like a preparation room for bodies for the mortuary. Very creepy building, and there were always weird sounds and strange things. And people we had basement or what they call garden level offices, but near the basement. And even people that are not sensitive to those things were like, I'm not working here past when everybody else leaves because there's too creepy and there's weird noises and voices and whispers and but I had this little ghost app kind of thing on my phone that I used to play with, and I was showing it to one of my friends at work, and one of the offices in that newspaper building, it had like a built-in, an oak built-in, and you could feel a breeze come through it even though we had sealed that ramp where the bodies or caskets or whatever would go down.
Mm-hmm.
There was still air that would come through the cracks in the built-in, so you could feel it. It was so bizarre. But I was playing with this little ghost app, and we went in there, and I handed it to her, And I don't recall what question she asked, but it's one of those ghost apps where it'll show like energy locations, but then it'll also flash words
Yeah.
that it picks up and like the different types of anomalies. And she asked it some question and some word came up and she dropped it. And I was like, what happened? And she goes, that's the name of my ex.
So creepy.
She said, how did it know that? How did it know that? I was like, I don't know. This building's creepy. Everything's creepy. So we actually left after that. We were like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. That was the only activity we decided to play with the ghost app. Then we were done. We were like, no, not in this building. So
back in the turn of the century, what were the industries here? I mean, what were people dying of? Were they dying of?
Oh, tuberculosis was big, yeah. And people came from the rest of the country here to recover from tuberculosis. It was what was it called, sanatorium for...
Yeah, actually next to the building that was the Gentleman's Club, that was the sanatorium.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
For tuberculosis?
Yeah, there's some photos from the Historical Society. It was a tuberculosis treatment hospital.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that building, that whole block.
Yeah. There's the cathedral.
The cathedral is like a block away, less than a block away. It's like across the street.
Yeah.
Maybe for
been seen there in the
for
many years.
Maybe for good reason they put the church that close to that.
Maybe so.
Corner.
I don't know, but that's a cool story.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any other places I worked that were as creepy. I mean, I didn't work at the college you were speaking about earlier, but I certainly spent a lot of time there. Not as much as you, but that building, the gentleman's
the Gentleman's Club,
that college, the two creepiest places I've been in as far as work related in Tucson.
Yeah. And there's so many things I don't remember because it was so long ago, but I remember we had so many stories and things that had happened. Just such a beautiful building, but super creepy. And I don't know when that one was built. I don't know Anyway, we would love to hear from the rest of you what your story is. Where is your workplace weirdness? What kind of creepy stories do you have about your workplace? Let us know. You can put it on our Facebook, or
you can comment on our Podbean.
Yes.
And you're just wanting creepy stories from the paranormal, not creepy work stories.
Yeah. We're sorry if other creepy things happen to you. Sorry about that, but we're looking for creepy ghosts.
Right.
And thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Miguel, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, please come back and listen to more stories and share with your friends. But for now, so long, good friends. Until next time, when we meet back at the house.